Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is running for president.
Here's what you need to know about him.
So in this video, we are going to give you basic information about the past political career of Bernie Sanders, what he stands for now, and what he might accomplish if he ever does actually become the president of the United States. So first of all, you should know that he is the current senator of Vermont. He's in his second term. You know, he's technically an independent, although he typically votes with and caucuses with the Democrats. He calls himself a democratic socialist, and his political philosophy, by and large, is that he thinks that America would be well served with incorporating more sort of Scandinavian economic and social programs to make us a little bit more like those Scandinavian countries. He started off politically as the mayor of Birmingham, and a little bit of political trivia for you. He won his first election to mayor by 10 votes.
Wow.
So man, if an extended family had switched, he might not be the senator he is today.
What a close call.
Very close call. Now, back in the 90s, he became a congressman for Vermont. He did that for 16 years before running successfully for Senate in 2006, and then defending in 2012 and becoming a senator once again. So that's his basic political past. He is culturally Jewish, although I think that he identifies as an atheist. He doesn't identify religiously that way. Yeah. And so why don't we talk about some of his actual positions? Because I think that he has sort of he's going to be running for the Democratic nomination, of course, but in comparison to Hillary Clinton, people know a lot less about what he actually stands for.
Yeah.
So we're going to fill you in on some of the topics that you might be personally interested in. The first, legalization of marijuana. He says, I have real concerns.
That's the first issue everybody wants to know about,
I know.
according to John.
Let's start up high, and then we'll descend down to other things. He says, I have real concerns about implications of the war on drugs. I am concerned about the overuse of dangerous drugs. Asked about marijuana legalization, he said he'd look at it, but that to me it is not one of the major issues facing this country. So he apparently shares that with you. Thinks it shouldn't be the first one. It's sort of random. But yeah, so I think that he's fairly liberal on drugs, but it's not one of his priorities. He seems like the sort of president who wouldn't stop it if it happened, but perhaps wouldn't push for it.
Right.
Which really is probably what Hillary would be like as well. Now, this is a very important issue. I defy you to tell me it's not. Global warming is the greatest environmental threat facing the planet, and averting a planetary disaster will require a major reduction in the burning of coal, oil, and other fossil fuels. That's a strong stance on global warming.
Oh, I like a president, or I guess a
Presidential nominee, potential president, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know what was coming out. Who believes in science?
Yeah, exactly. Who follows what the scientists say and actually thinks that we should do something about it. And not all the nominees are actually saying that. Now, on free trade, and this is important since the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, is being talked about right now. He says unfettered free trade has been a disaster for the American people. So he thinks that generally we should do more in a legislative sense to protect American business and workers here, which you can have a debate about that. Versus the benefits of free trade. But he very much closely associates with unions and with regular workers. That's where he's gotten a lot of his money politically in the past for. Let's see. When it comes to money and politics, which is an important issue to our company, the Young Turks, he says, we must pass a constitutional amendment to overturn the disastrous 5-4 Citizens United Supreme Court decision. Billionaires like the Koch brothers should not be able to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to buy elections in the U.S.
I know, especially with the money that they're spending on this campaign, especially.
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, it kind of seems ridiculous that like an entity can put that much money in to try to determine the election, essentially.
Yeah, and I think that with $889 million, the number I keep seeing thrown around, you probably could. You could also instead terraform the moon into just your head smiling down on Earth. I would go with that rather than just buying out our politics. But the Koch brothers have a lot of money. They could do both, I guess. Now, when it comes to net neutrality, of course, very important for an online video show. We care about net neutrality. Bernie Sanders says, we must not let private corporations turn bigger and bigger profits by putting a price tag on the free flow of ideas. So he thinks that we should be protected, that you should be allowed to post your ideas and not have it be punished by ISPs and things like that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And kind of what you said before when you started this, that he was like a socialist or a democratic socialist. And I think people are really scared of the S word. This, you know what I mean? I think that really freaks people out. It might go back to like the Cold War times and stuff like that. But there are aspects of it that are good that we support. But when you put that label on it, that's where I think he's going to run into trouble. Yeah. Even though we might agree with some of his policies, I think that's where he's going to run into trouble, kind of going against Hillary.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And maybe sort of the background of this, I guess, is that many people are saying that he's probably not going to win because he has much lower name recognition. Everybody's ready for Hillary. She's going to have 1 billion times more billions. But maybe with there being a debate, then maybe he can sort of move people's position on what a socialist is and make it a little bit more positive.
Plus, let's keep in mind that if he, is going with some of the policies of Scandinavian countries are some of the happiest in the world.
Very happy. That should count for something. Isn't it weird that we can see a country as being happier than us, and we're like, they're probably still doing stuff wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but similar to them, actually, he thinks that we should have single-payer health care. As I said, much more protections for the unions. He thinks that we should have a carbon tax. I mean, he has a lot of positions. Now, there are some candidates like Carly Fiorina, who has just been a business person in the past, so we don't know where she stands on a lot of issues.
Right.
But if you want to find out more about Bernie Sanders, he has been very clear where he stands on hundreds of different issues. We've given you sort of an overview of some of the ones we think would be most salient to you, but you can do your research online, and he has a lot of information. He's very outspoken, another thing to his credit. Let us know what you think about his chances against the Hillary Clinton machine in the comments, and we will see you in the next video.